Hello everybody, welcome to another Rick's Picks. Today I'm going to be doing my review of the Masters of the Universe Origins figure, Terroar. So, without any further ado, roll that intro. So here he is in packaging. Obviously, he's part of the Snake Man wave of figures. So you got the snake skin up top with the snake eyes and what have you up there. Masters of the Universe, his name, retro play, the Snake Man logo here. You get this nice shell where you can see him, all his accessories. Spin them around this way. All right. You get some pretty good artwork up here. Not the best of the best, but it still looks pretty neat. Comic book inside. A little bit about him. Everybody that's part of this wave. All his play features. And then you got some legal underneath. So, that being said, let's open him up and see what he's about. So here he is out of packaging. The first thing we're going to do is start going through his points of articulation. So the head does move. All right. You got a shoulder joint here with a swivel. All right. You also got what would be considered an elbow joint. And then when you go to this side, you have a shoulder joint, an elbow joint. Okay. And you also have a wrist joint. Now, you also have a torso joint here, a thigh joint, a knee joint, a swivel at the top of the boot, and you also have an ankle joint. All right. So now that we got into that, let's start talking about the look of this guy. So first off, as anybody can tell, there's nothing original about this guy. I mean, they were very on the nose about this one, I feel, with, taking parts from other figures. And I know everybody says, well, Masters of the Universe is known for that. They're known from using, parts from this guy for this guy and so forth and so forth. And I do agree with that statement, but this is the only figure that I'm aware of that has no original parts. There's nothing original about this guy. I mean, they might as well have just called him Frankenstein because that's all he is a mismatch of other parts. For example, like, yeah, they would have the same body pieces, but some of them would have, in most cases, a different head sculpt. Or, something like some sort of special armor or maybe a special weapon. Something that makes them unique. And this guy just doesn't have that. So what we're going to do is start looking at the head sculpt. So clearly the head sculpt is Whiplash's head. All right. As you can see, that's 100% a Whiplash head. All right. Down here, you got the body. That's obviously Rattler's body. The arms, the body, and even the lower torso. The arm on the side is definitely Trapjaw's arm. And then the legs are from Mosquitor. So let's give them the rotation. All right. As you can see, you got the Trapjaw arm. Come around to the back here. You got the spot here where Rattler's tail will hook onto him, and we'll get into that when we start looking at the pieces. All right, well, the accessories. Come around here. You can see this side as well. Bring the arm down. You can see the detailing in his arm. That would be scaling. And then back around to the front. So, like I said earlier, there's nothing original about him. I do kind of like the color palette on him, though. So now we're going to get into his accessories. So, of course, he has the Trapjaw arm. So now he has all the Trapjaw pieces. So you have the hook, the claw, and also the laser beam. Now, what kind of stinks about him is if you're going to give him the trap jaw pieces, they should have at least gave him a trap jaw belt so he could hook all his weapons onto it. All right. They also give a neck here so he can extend his neck like Ratlore. And you also have the tail. So first thing we're going to do is spin him around, and we're going to hook this tail onto him. All right. Now this might be a little bit difficult because the trap jaw piece right here. Let's see if we can pull this off. Nah, that don't even come off of there. So that's kind of a pain. So you kind of have to slide it under there. There we go. All right. Put the arm back on. There we go. So now the tail is on. Let's do the extendo neck. All right. The head. All right. Now, if you look at this neck here, they have this airbrushed with an orange for some reason. I think that would look just a lot better if they would have kept with this, either this darker purple and just had the darker purple go up instead of a orange. It just feels mismatched to me. I think that darker purple would have looked a lot better going up his neck instead of that spray orange. And now for the different weapons, which should fit in here very easily. So there's the trapjaw gun, the hook, and last but not least, the claw. Maybe. There we go. So everything works pretty good with him. I don't have any issues with his accessories. All right, so let's get into my final thoughts with him. So first off, all his joints and everything move fine. No issues there. The same with all his extra body parts and accessories. All that worked fine with him. No issues there. He's a pretty decent looking figure. Probably my one thing about him is that he, once again, like I said earlier, he's very on the nose about taking parts from other figures. And like I also explained earlier, you know, even though the Masters of the Universe line is notorious for it, like you would see with all their figures, okay, you could see that, you know, Skeletor and maybe Zodiac has the same bodies but different heads. You know, Beastman and Mossman are pretty much the same figure. The only difference is Mossman has the moss coating on him. But even in that case, there's still something that makes him unique to the other. And so forth and so forth. And sometimes it might be a special weapon or so forth. Or there is nothing unique about this guy. There's nothing new about him. He's just, lack of a better term, a Frankenstein of pieces of other figures. There's nothing that makes him his own. So the other thing I didn't like was his orange paint here. I'm not a fan of that. I figured, you know, they should just make it purple all the way up. You know, it just feels out of place to me. So would I recommend this figure? I don't know. I think the thing that kills this figure for me, like I said earlier, is that there's nothing original to him. He's just a complete Frankenstein of parts from other figures. You know, I would like to see something that was his own, you know, that would make him, this character, particularly unique. So if you're a completist, you may want him. If you're somebody who thinks, hey, wow, he looks pretty cool, then, you know, I can see that as well. But me, he's not a top tier figure. He'll look all right with the collection. So that's my final thought on him. So with that being said, I hope you guys did like this review. If you did, go ahead and check out my Masters of the Universe playlist and hit that like, share, and subscribe. They're all small clicks for you, but it really helps this channel grow. So until the next one, late.